everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, Dan, or should I say Saint Dan, we're going to be talking about sainthood. It's St. Patrick's Day while we're recording.
Yeah, we're recording on, I hope you're wearing green, Franklin.
Oh, shit.
Oh, if we were in the same room, you would be so pinched right now.
It's nothing but orange. Why did I wear all orange today?
Oh, interesting.
That's bad. It's a bad thing to wear.
Oh, you're on the wrong side of this one.
No. I wore blue. But whatever.
Well, actually, blue was
Uh-oh.
St. Patrick's color.
What?
That's a little known fact. St. Patrick's color was blue. That's true. I swear to God.
Then what's this green thing about?
No, that's Ireland's color.
Oh, I'm confused. Anyway,
We'll be talking about saints and sainthood, and I'm baffled by the whole concept. I want to get into it.
And you were once a saint, so
I was once a saint, and we'll get into that too.
We'll come all around back to that after some news from the last week or so. Dan, you're familiar with this "Don't Say Gay" bill down in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm reasonably familiar with it. We've all heard of it.
Yeah, it's that law. I believe it's passed and signed. Not so sure about the signed. We're not worried about whether it's going to be signed, though.
Right. No.
We know
Governor DeSantis is plenty fine with trying to make sure that teachers aren't allowed to talk about them queers.
Yeah, this bill's designed to targets the LGBTQIA community broadly and limiting what teachers can say in the classroom in Florida.
Among
specifically,
other things.
Yeah, and specifically with elementary school age kids.
Which it's funny because when you hear conservatives talk about it, they're like, we don't want them talking about gay sex in the class. It's like, dude, no one was going to talk about gay sex. Yeah. They were just going to acknowledge that Sam has two dads and that's fine. Yeah.
Or that your teacher, that picture of the guy on his desk, that's his husband.
Right.
Right. Like, what do you do in that scenario? Right.
And
with something like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's absurd. If they're old enough for you to talk about a straight married relationship, they're old enough for you to talk about a gay married relationship.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, the author or sponsor or introducer of the bill itself, one state representative, Joe Harding, who's from Ocala. Is that how you say that town in Florida? Ocala,
I don't
Florida.
know.
Anyway, there was a tornado in Ocala, and it hit his house square on. Knocked that motherfucker to the ground. And nobody was home at the time.
Oh, that's good.
And that is good, right? You don't hope for bad things to happen to people. But this is important to bring up because if this had been some Democrat who had passed some bill that the conservatives didn't like, if this had been
the guy that had passed the abortions are free for everyone bill,
exactly.
This would have been God's wrath.
Absolutely. An act of God and
proof that he was wrong.
Absolutely. And instead, nobody's saying anything. Right?
Weird.
Huh.
Weird that.
Yeah, why isn't this a sign? Right? Why isn't like this guy authored the goddamn thing? It passed and like within days his house is knocked over by the finger of God.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where are you people? Right?
As we've learned from Patty, from our friend, not St. Patrick, but from Pat Robertson. Look, sometimes sometimes it is God's judgment for a sinful America and for, being okay with lesbians or whatever. But other times it's just a weather phenomenon and you guys should all just chill out. What are you talking about?
It can't be both. Sorry, guys.
If
God works that way,
you lack the discerning to know which is which doesn't mean that Mr. Robertson.
Yeah, clearly when it hits people he doesn't like, it's God. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
It's so stupid. Anyway, I love it. I wish it had been God, that there was of course I don't wish that there was a God. In these small moments, where you find yourself going, oh, I wish there was actually a hell, because that person belongs there, right?
Yeah.
And deserves it, right?
Yeah.
This is one where it's like, would I want to live in that universe? Probably not.
It's funny because in general, I don't want anyone's house knocked down by a tornado. That is, I have a very close friend who recently went through a whole thing where he had to leave his house because of a flood. And and that wasn't very fun.
No, it wasn't. No.
So I don't tend to wish it on people, but this guy, one hopes. And here's the really bullshit thing is, I imagine this guy is a dyed in the wool believer, a true form Christian.
Oh yeah.
You want it to give him pause. At least to give him pause.
Nope.
These people are so completely confident in their position that is what God wants. They're so completely wrapped up in that it won't even occur to him.
Or they'll find the silver lining,
right?
And it's attributed to God. Here's him saying, "We are blessed," he said in response to the tornado. It could have been a lot worse.
Well, that's true.
Right? And so God helped it not be a lot worse.
But that's not really how blessings work. The whole point of blessings is not
getting your
how
house
much
knocked
down. Yes, God fucked with us, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, the miracle would have been everybody else's house is knocked down. Except for
yours survived. Yeah.
Except for the good Joe Harding himself.
Yeah. I'm glad nobody was hurt, but I'm also glad. I hope he finds his Bible in pristine condition somewhere.
Just so we can have something else to talk about next week.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but over there in Eastern Europe, there's a bit of a war on. They're having a bit of a war.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't think it's a good idea. But it's happening. And the thing about it is that Mr. Putin, who is I've decided I don't think he's a very nice man, is completely backed and supported 100% by Patriarch Kirill, who is the head of the Russian Orthodox Church.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the state church of Russia. Now, but Russian Orthodox is not limited to Russia. Obviously, Christian Orthodoxy is all over the world. And there are different patriarchates, but the Moscow Patriarchate is a big one. And it's one that a lot of congregations outside of Russia are affiliated with. Well, this leaves a lot of churches in a real pickle about what to do, because especially the Russian Orthodox churches in Europe, which they're scattered throughout Europe, they suddenly have this dilemma of how to handle, because I don't know if you know this, but this war not very popular in Europe.
Yeah, you think?
Literally, almost nobody supports the war. And most people see it as the terrorist act that it is, the horrific act that it is. So what do you do? And it's interesting. There are several congregations that have stopped commemorating the patriarch in their liturgies, which is a standard thing. It's just a standard small bit of text that you go through.
Okay.
But they've just stopped doing that, which is interesting. It's a big deal protest in Orthodox churches, but also it can fly under the radar. Like, only people who go to church regularly and are paying attention while they're there would even notice it.
Right. Okay. It's not
so
overt.
there's that.
They're not saying something bad about him. They didn't add something bad about him.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But they have taken him out of the liturgy.
Okay.
And then, others have written letters, open letters even, saying just sort of...
letters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saying that they condemning the action that Russia is taking against Ukraine.
I am a fan of a strongly worded letter.
Especially if it's open. An open letter.
Indeed.
To every to Patriarch Kirill, but to be read by all. Anyway, then there's the few that have actually taken the action of leaving the Russian Patriarchate. And
already.
Yeah.
That was quick.
Well, for instance, there was a parish called the Parish of St. Nicholas in Myrna. St. Nicholas of Myrna in Amsterdam.
Okay.
And then, they have several hundred worshipers, most of whom are of Russian descent.
Okay.
But they basically started, they really were feeling the pressure to do something because, there are people of good conscience and they're affiliated with this church that is 100% supporting this horrific action. So they started to take like baby steps. They wrote a letter calling on the Patriarchate to condemn the war, and then this weird thing happened where an outside archbishop came in one day and just took over and did the liturgy himself. And brought in his own henchman, I guess it was a deacon or something, so that they took over the entirety of the thing, which he has, I guess, the authority to do. But one parishioner said it was like a spiritual tank sent to our parish.
Ugh.
Literally, this guy turned up unannounced just before their service and did the whole thing, making sure to commemorate Kirill.
Ew.
So that was gross and yucky.
Yeah.
And then a Z, you know how the letter Z has it's not in the Cyrillic alphabet that Russians use,
right.
But the letter Z has become the symbol of Russian support for whatever reason. And a letter Z, it's because they like Zorro so much. But a letter Z showed up on that church's gates, which seems to have been the straw that broke the camel's back, and they have just decided that they have asked to be released from that patriarchate and taken up by the ecumenical patriarchate. So
the universal, right? Ecumenical.
Yeah, I guess I think they're the ones that are under Turkey, the Turkish guy,
Bartholomew the First.
Something like that.
Possibly. It's in my next art story.
Oh, okay. There you go. We'll transition then, baby. That's might as well pivot.
I mean, it's good. I don't have much to say about it, but it's like great that they're like standing up for, their conscience and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom.
Okay.
You've heard of that before, right?
Sure.
Has released a little statement warning of significant oppression, religious oppression, if Russia gains control of Ukraine.
You think?
And of course, it's not all that surprising and everything.
Big shocker.
But you just have to step back and wonder what in the fuck these Putin-loving evangelicals, what kind of somersaults and mental gymnastics they're going to be doing in the face of what you were just talking about, right? The Russian Orthodox Church. There's the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, which broke away from the Russian Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
Back and gained recognition from Bartholomew the First, the ecumenical patriarch of Constantinople. That was back just a few years ago in 2019. Obviously, that separation would be in great jeopardy because they're just going to be like, yeah, you guys don't exist. This is the Russian Orthodox Church. What are you talking about, right? So there would be that. And we already know that Russia has severe problems with, not really liking certain religious groups. They limit proselytizing from like the Mormons, for example. They're kicking out the J-dubs. I think you talked about that 2 shows ago or whatever.
Yeah, they're throwing them in jail.
Yeah, that's it. And they have a history of this. The Tatar Muslims in Crimea, which of course is Russian controlled, and has been since they invaded it back 2014. Nonetheless, they've targeted them, and they regularly face terrorism charges simply because of their ethnic and religious identity, according to outside reports. Yeah, it's kind of the Russian modus operandi with this kind of thing, right? They've, in other areas that they've aggressed into, they go after religious freedom. And one just has to wonder, though, what the Putin lovers, like, they're fucking evangelicals, for Christ's sake, right?
Yeah,
but what do they think they're going to get if they were like living under Putin, right? Or a Putin-like figure. Like, what do they love about this guy?
But here's the thing. The thing that you're missing is that they don't want religious freedom. Religious freedom is like not on their radar. What they want is for everybody to be their religion.
Right. But Putin's not their religion.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I have the hardest time wrapping my head around, is that he's, given the opportunity, like, he's not going to all of a sudden become evangelical and make, the patriarch of, Moscow or whatever, the one you just mentioned, right? That, like, I don't know. I haven't really thought this one through too clearly. I was just sort of outraged at the continued support of evangelicals of Putin and the ways that, like, these people, I believe, are officially, like, I already knew they were like, they didn't really like the United States and our government and everything, but like, they officially, these are anti-Americans.
Yeah.
These people hate America and every democratic value that we stand for.
Yeah, that's true.
I felt like reiterating it. I felt like saying it.
No, nobody says it that way, and it's important to say. I got into a tiff on Facebook just the other day, which I really enjoyed this little tiff because somebody in a group that I'm in, a group that is not that is centered around RVing rather than around any of the other things that I actually like.
Of course you belong to an RV group on Facebook.
Yes, indeed. It is a scary place to be. Anywho, somebody posted this thing about this big old flag, blah, blah, blah. And I decided to mess with them a little bit. And I was like, doesn't it bother you that that's a violation of U.S. flag code? Which it very much is, and they do that all the time. They love to violate the flag code because they don't actually care about, honoring the United States of America with their America stuff. What they care about is a vision of America that doesn't actually exist.
Right.
And that's what they love. But I think you're absolutely right that they don't actually love America or the United States.
No.
They love this thing that they dream about, but isn't real and has
but like
has no basis in reality.
But they'll sit there and talk about that God basically founded this country.
Yeah,
right. In their stupid mythology about the United States, the founders were all inspired men, mouthpieces of God, basically.
Yeah,
right. And
the documents were written basically by the hand of God.
Exactly.
Through them.
These documents which have problems, right?
Yeah.
We know what a lot of the problems are. Enshrining slavery into our founding documents. A problem. Anyway, they just refuse to see the values, though, that were espoused in these documents.
Yeah.
And what what these documents have allowed us to aspire to as a country. Right.
Yeah.
And
Aspirations.
develop into. And we fall short of those aspirations.
Yeah.
A lot, often.
Yeah. Largely because of these assholes. Anyway. All right. I'm going to move on to a study that was done here in these United States, basically looking at this came out of Rice and West Virginia universities, and it looked at atheists. And it was asking the question, who among us, in our atheist community, is most likely to be an out atheist, and who is most likely to be an in, or rather a closeted atheist. And
okay.
I don't think that the results of this will surprise any of our listeners.
Okay.
But it is interesting to have data on it. The study basically found that women atheists, Republican atheists, and Southerners are all much less likely to be open about that belief or lack of belief.
So a Republican woman in the South who's atheist
is going to lie. Is 100% going to say, hell yeah, I believe in God. I'll see you at church on Sunday.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I mean, it makes sense because, people are awful to atheists a lot of the time in the United States. Interestingly, atheists are very likely to experience, what's the word I'm looking for?
Persecution.
Thank you. Persecution and ill treatment, etc. However, atheists, as opposed to people who call themselves agnostic or people who just say that they're not religious, atheists are the most likely group to be out and open about it, even though they are also the most likely to take heat for it.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was interesting. I think if you get to the point where you realize that you're in that category, I almost feel like there's some sense that it makes to my brain, and I'm not sure how I make sense of it, but somehow it makes sense to me that even though atheists are specifically more likely to be discriminated against, they're also people who have done the hard work. You know what I mean? Who have done the mental work to get to an understanding of the universe, and they're likely to encounter the universe and the people in it from that perspective. So it makes sense to me that once you've gotten yourself to the point where you can admit, oh, I guess I just don't believe there's a God, you're just, you're more likely to be willing to say it. But I'll tell you what, a lot of women put themselves in danger if they say it. They risk. There's risk there. There's a lot of risk, and surely if you're a Republican in the South, you're not going to get far saying that you're an atheist. So I get that. The simple thing is just to stop being a Republican. That would be a good start. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it's interesting. I think these people are very right to know that there are very real consequences to admitting this about themselves. And yet, you and I have said for a long time that it's important, that visibility is very important.
It's incredibly important, right?
So
when you can, right?
If you're safe,
I think it's really important to be out.
Yeah.
But it's also, if you need to fly under the radar, that's okay.
Yeah. It's an individual choice. It is a choice for each person to make on their own. based on their own situation, and we certainly can't know your situation, and
but it's going to be uncomfortable no matter what.
Well, that's true.
No matter what, it's going to be uncomfortable to come out, and so you do have to kind of gird yourself up a little bit, but do a risk assessment for sure.
Yeah,
know what you're risking by doing it.
But if you can,
looking at you teenagers who with religious parents specifically.
Yeah. You may want to hold off. You need that roof over your head, and
exactly.
Religious parents have been known to kick kids out.
Yeah. You'll have the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. You can
to be as out as you please.
Yes, it's true.
In whatever many different ways you need to be out. All right. Dan.
Yes.
I don't know if you've heard of this guy before. A fellow by the name of Jesus Christ, maybe?
Is that Jesus H. Christ?
Yeah. No, but just in case you've never heard of Jesus Christ, do not worry. Do not worry. There's been a massive ad buy nationwide, a $100 million ad campaign that is aiming to make Jesus, quote, the biggest brand in your city.
Oh my God.
They want to get him up there. Like if you watch over the air television or get online, there are certain brands that you're going to see a lot of. You're going to see Old Navy ads, right?
Sure.
You're going to see TD Ameritrade ads, right? You have, Nationwide insurance ads. You name the car company ads, right?
Sure.
Well, these good folks behind the He Gets Us campaign.
Oh, please.
Jesus
no.
Christ. He gets us.
Oh, God.
They are going to be saturating the airwaves for the next month with the same intensity as these other brands out there.
No,
as
please.
Coca-Cola.
No,
right?
please. Thank
because,
you. No.
You haven't heard of them. They're specifically going to be targeting millennials and Gen Z. Doesn't surprise me.
Obviously.
Yes. And apparently, they claim these are carefully crafted, exhaustively researched, and market-tested messages about Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's going to be billboards. They're going to be everywhere.
Can we do an ad buy of billboards that just says, "Yeah, we know."
I know. Seriously.
We've heard. It's okay. You don't have to spread the news to us. We got it.
I know. Jesus Christ. Like for crying out loud. The guy is a curse word. That's how big he is.
Yeah, exactly.
One the atheists can't even get away from.
When we stub our toe, guess whose name we call out? It's fine. We got it. We all know about him.
Yeah.
But I guess they got some money burning holes in their pockets.
Yeah. Apparently in the past, a lot of Christians have felt uneasy with ad campaigns about, their own church, right?
Yeah, let's encourage
churches.
that. Let's encourage more of that unease.
Yeah, well, this thing is designed to totally gloss over that unease. Just put their minds at rest because it's non-denominational.
Oh, it's
good. Not any one religious group. It's just about Jesus, man.
He's
brand Jesus.
Yeah.
Big Jesus.
He's bigger than the Beatles.
There's a website you can go to. I think it's hegetsus.org. Hegetsus.com. Actually.
Oh, it's a .com.
It's a .com. You can choose 4 ways to engage. You can chat live. You can text for prayers and positive vibes.
I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to start texting for vibes.
You can sign up to join a small group.
Okay.
Or you can click through to read a Bible reading plan.
Wow.
It's nice.
All right. Fine.
I feel so good about this.
He
gets us down.
Thank God. Thank God they're out there. All right. So here's an interesting thing. The Episcopal Church decided to do a poll. They decided to poll Americans to figure out, among other things, how Americans perceive Christians, and also just sort of issues of the day. It's an interesting poll. One of the things they learned is that they think very highly of themselves. The Christians do. So that's nice. They're very pleased with themselves. They had a list of characteristics that could be associated with a religious person. And they just said, and they didn't ask about Episcopals specifically, they just said Christians. And they asked, which characteristics do you associate with Christians in general? And the top ones, if you ask a Christian what characteristics, the top ones are giving, compassionate, loving, respectful, friendly, your basic Boy Scout characteristics. They're very, very, very good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Christians. We're talking about Christians, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. No, all you had to do is just say those words.
Shockingly.
Knew exactly who you're talking about.
Shockingly. Non-Christians didn't see it that way. They apparently have a bit of a perception problem. When you talk to other religions, people of other religions, the first ones that come up are judgmental, hypocritical, self-righteous, arrogant, and then you get friendly and giving. And if you talk to non-religious people, and these are like these are assigned percentages, like I guess percentage of people who associated with these words. So in other religions, so like the Christians gave themselves, like 57% gave themselves giving, 56% gave themselves compassionate, 55% loving, 50% respectful. Anyway, the other religions were like, 37% said judgmental, 36% said hypocritical. The non-religious were like 55% hypocritical, 54% judgmental, 50% self-righteous, arrogant, unforgiving, selfish, disrespectful.
That sounds about right.
Somebody's missing something in all of this. I feel like there's a big discrepancy there.
That's
amazing. Now, in the Christian column, they did 19% of them did associate the word judgmental with Christianity, which I think is interesting.
How many?
19.
Oh, okay.
Which anyone
but they were talking about other Christians.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, they were talking about a specific lady in the ward who is, in the parish, whatever. There were also it was also interesting to see how they thought about things like questions like, I want my children to grow up in a world where everyone is treated equally, regardless of their race or background. Okay. That was pretty clearly everybody, in the 80% percentile for everybody, including Christians and non-Christians alike. However, when you get the dynamics switch a little bit when you get to questions like people of color in the United States are genuinely impacted by racism, where non-Christians agree with that sentence at 74%. Christians in general agree with that 59%. So at least it's over 50, thank God. But if you separate that into evangelical and non-evangelical, evangelical are only at 53%, non-evangelical are at 62%.
All
right. If you ask them, people who talk about their conservative beliefs are often disrespected. You'll be shocked to learn that I'm actually surprised how few Christians believe that. It only amounts to 43%. of Christians believe that.
Huh.
With 48% evangelical and 40% non-evangelical.
All right.
Anyway, interesting that this one came from inside the house, and they did this themselves, and at least one of their bishops, Bishop Michael Curry, has acknowledged that there is a problem here, and said maybe some of it's a perceptual problem, but also we kind of need to do some work. There may be some truth to this.
It's kind of embedded into the whole thing, though.
Yeah,
like, Christians being judgmental. That's Christianity.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
you're not wrong on that.
Like that's I don't know how you separate that out.
There's also the question. How many, do you believe that the Christians that you know represent the values and teachings of Jesus?
Ooh.
Whether it's they represent them a lot, represent them a little, somewhat, do not, or do not at all. The Christians give themselves a lot of credit on that one too.
Wow.
So the Christians say that the Christians that they know represent the values and teachings of Jesus a lot at about 34%, and then represent them a little at 37%. So that's a very high number of the two of those.
Mm-hmm.
Other religions, they say represent them a lot, 6%.
Ooh.
And represent them a little, 17%. And the non-religious say, of the non-religious, the percentage of people that they know that represent Jesus's teachings, they say 2%. And 15% represent them a little.
Oh.
But over 50% somewhat do not or do not at all.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I kind of love it. Good on them for doing that survey.
Yeah.
And then releasing the actual numbers.
Yeah, I
hope
hope
doesn't make them look good.
I hope that they really take it to heart, because they're dicks and they need to stop it.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, if you would like to tell us about how the Christians you know exemplify the teachings of Christ, feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around, there's more show coming right up.
Well, Frank.
Dan.
We heard a couple weeks ago from Lauren Witzke, who was the she was the GOP's candidate for Senate in Delaware in 2020, and is a extreme right-wing QAnon nut job.
Okay,
but I don't think there's an easy way to overstate how deep her nut jobbery goes.
Okay.
So we're going to let her. She is interviewing. I don't know what show she had. I think she was with OAN or one of the like nutball quote unquote news networks.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I think she's got a show, and she is Zoom interviewing a guy. He's a streamer. He's a far right guy. His name is Jared Noble, AKA Wooza.
Sure.
Who,
okay.
If I were to describe him, I would say he is a probably 20-something 1980s professional wrestler cosplayer.
But that's just his life.
That's just what he
looks
looks
cosplay.
like.
Yeah, that's yeah. Okay.
That's just what he has this mane of platinum blonde hair that tumbles over his shoulders, and is wearing sunglasses for part of this that I can't describe as any other. They are Randy Macho Man Savage worthy sunglasses. Yeah. Anyway,
that style.
Lauren Witzke is going to let him say his piece, and then I think you'll notice that she is not going to contradict him, but maybe actually add on to what he has to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So here's that.
My real position is that women are currency to be bartered and traded. You know, we see in the Bible, it's not biblically unfounded. It's a lot like I'm making stuff up and being disrespectful or anything, but it's like you could trade a nice virgin bride for a half a dozen yoke of oxen. And I think if we went back to that and got rid of all this feminism crap, forget about your master's degree, forget about your career, and just go mommy mode. That's what I believe in.
Yeah. Do you think that? I think that they should also, like, you know how there used to be like dowries back in the day, like in the biblical times, you'd have to I think that we should bring that back. However, okay, so I was talking with I think she was Indian woman about her arranged marriage, but here's the deal with that. Okay, so here's the deal with arranged marriages is that your parents want what's best for you. So if you let your parents choose for you, they're absolutely going to choose the best, not exactly what you want, maybe not, like, because of course we always choose what is the worst for us, women as a tendency. So I fully support arranged marriages. Parents having a say and choosing and choosing the family that you choose to bond yourself with. I fully support that. I think that's great. I think that we should do more of that. I think we should actually bring that back because it's really not a bad idea.
So there's that. I can't argue with him about the biblical precedent for it.
Because it's there.
He's right about interpreting the Bible.
Yeah. He's not right to want to implement it.
No. But what has happened in this country? It is shocking. They are saying the quiet parts out loud at all times now.
All right. No. What's happened is that they have microphones and webcams.
Yeah.
That's what's happened because these ding-dongs always existed, right? And so for all of the good, right, helping so many atheists find online communities, like the people you were just talking about, the Republican woman, atheist in the South, right?
Right.
She can have an online supportive community, that consists of people elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's benefited us, right? And it's been great for us. It's been equally effective for them, sadly.
We might need to nuke this whole internet. This internet thing might be a bad idea.
It allows communities to form. Ding dongs, he's not the first idiot, 19-year-old to say to say something like that.
Right.
He's far from it, in fact.
Right. But he's supposed to be surrounded by people who say, that's not cool at all, man. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
And he's supposed to be put firmly in his place.
Yep. Or they're the handful of people who agree with him in his town. They get together,
right,
but they're so isolated. Right. Yeah. They never feel like they're part of a bigger thing. Right.
And they know that they're not allowed to say it out loud except to each other. They know that the entirety of their community rejects them.
Yeah. Or they just live out, their status as pariahs,
Yeah. Yeah.
But, no,
and the fact that she not only didn't say, whoa, dude, that's a horrible thing to say, but said, yes, and it's good improv, frankly. Yeah. But yes,
yes, and dowries.
You probably don't you don't want to one up women are for barter and or sale with also parents should be arranging these marriages. That is That's a hell of a one-up right there.
Yeah. Really great idea, though.
Yeah. They're good thinkers. They're smart people. You got to give them that.
Oy, oy, oy.
All right. Well, we had some wonderful people write into us this week. So, it's been 2 weeks. Last week we were not really here. And look, Frank, we're not in bunkers.
We lived.
The nuclear holocaust hasn't happened yet. So we were way off on our predictions.
Yeah.
This one's from Maggie, who wrote into us to say, "Hi, Frank and Dan. My name is Maggie, and I'm a licensed psychologist." That's good. The unlicensed ones are the ones I worry about. I really appreciated your episode about managing mental health during the past several months and highlighting the most recent tragedies in Ukraine. I wanted to provide some additional tips about navigating mental health during times of uncertainty, i.e. the pandemic, elections, the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
While getting support from therapists or loved ones can be crucial, sometimes it is helpful to have some actions to take on your own. And I really appreciate that, Maggie, because we are just two dopes.
Yeah.
And you are a trained person who probably should be talking about this rather than us. So that's great. So here are Maggie's 2 points. 1, monitor your, quote, information diet. While it is important to stay informed on recent events, make sure you are doing so mindfully. Use trusted news sources to avoid misinformation and quote-unquote clickbait that is intentionally used to elicit stronger emotional reactions.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is specifically designed to make you angry or to make you sad or whatever, and that's not what you need. Also be mindful of the times of day you are consuming news/social media. Consume news and social media at designated times if possible. Do your best to start and end your days with calmer activities, i.e. journaling, reading, watching a pleasant TV show, meditation.
That's the exact opposite of what I do.
Yeah.
Am I doing this wrong?
Oh, you're doing it wrong.
I wake up in the morning.
Too.
And I check to see if, most of Europe is still there.
Has the Earth completely blown up yet?
Yeah.
No.
And then before going to bed, I check again just to make sure it's all still there.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's funny because the image that came up when I read this for me was my dad in the evening reading the newspaper. And I thought, you know what? That's what you do. You set aside a time and you open the newspaper and you work your way through it, and then you close it and you put it away and you're done for the day. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Maggie's second idea was, when you feel helpless or overwhelmed, make 2 lists. One titled Things Within My Control and another titled Things Out of My Control. Take some time to journal your thoughts and put them into each appropriate column. Then focus on the things within your control and take some actions. After that, you can take some time to journal or reflect on the things that are out of your control as a way to validate and empathize with your emotions. This coping skill creates a balance where we can validate the uncertainty while also feeling empowered to take meaningful actions.
I'm doing this one wrong too. I fixate on and stew about the things that I can't control. There's no writing involved.
We're pillars of mental health is what
it's. I sort of spiral around it. Right. Some sort of like
in the emotional toilet
around
that you're in.
Okay. All right. Next one. What else am I doing
Those
wrong?
are the only 2 for now.
Oh, okay. Well,
Maggie said she could go on for forever, but she was going to keep it to 2. I think those are 2 very good ideas.
Good. Yeah.
So take those to heart.
I should start doing those.
Do as we say, not as we do. Anonymous wrote in. You'll remember that we had a call from Brandy, who was taking us a little bit to task, not really, because she was pointing out that not everyone comes to their gender identity early, and some find, we had talked about, trans kids know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can believe their experience. But not everyone comes to it then. An anonymous wrote in to say, I just wanted to shout out to Brandy. I myself didn't know my gender identity until I was in my 40s, and I'm finally accepting the girl inside of me that was clearly there all along. I identify as non-binary, and within the metal community, I assume that means heavy metal music. Within the metal community, people have been incredibly supportive. But it was really difficult, so my heart goes out to you, dear. And then we talked about, right, we got to get through, we had a couple weeks, so we got a few things. So I'm gonna guess that this name is Elo, ELO, who writes in to say, hey guys, I was listening to your comments about Russia's claims about denazification of Ukraine. You found it strange that Russia is fighting Nazis while Ukraine is much less anti-Semitic than Russia. However, you should understand that in the USSR and later Russia, Nazis were not and are not associated with Holocaust, at least not much. Concentration camps are a small part of the Great Patriotic War mythos, showing how horrible and corrupt Nazis were. But the main focus is on how Nazis killed and terrorized the people of the USSR and Russia. In short, were enemies of USSR and Russia, and how heroic the Red Army was while fighting these horrible, corrupt enemies. So when the word Nazi is used in Russian propaganda, the idea is to label someone who is against the Russian people and wants to harass and hurt Russian people. I'm from Estonia, and we are often labeled as Nazis in Russian propaganda too.
Interesting.
I think that makes total sense.
Okay.
And we had multiple people write in to make that point. So I think that's very interesting. Yeah, I did not have the Russian perspective on that.
Interesting.
But very interesting. Nazis are just bad guys who do bad things to Russians.
Right.
All right. And then also James wrote into us to say, I'm 57 and remember Pat Robertson's obsession with the end times and Soviet-American conflict from the 80s.
Oh.
He had several books about it and how it was going to start Armageddon and bring upon the end times. It's no surprise that he's creaming his pants at this conflict because he sees it as the fulfillment of his end times obsession.
Oh my God.
So what if it's 30 years later?
Right.
In line with his logic, Putin has to invade Israel because that's what's going to bring about the end of the world, and God will return to earth.
Wow.
That makes total sense. Like, yeah, he literally predicted all that shit back in the Cold War era, and none of it came true. And he, at this point, the man's used to his prophecies not coming true.
Yeah, but it's probably where his longevity comes from, right? Like he's holding on, right? It's like, I have to be right about this.
Yeah, exactly.
It hasn't happened yet.
Yep. So
I need to see the earth
James.
burn.
It's got to happen at some point, right? Oh, my goodness. Well, we have some folks to thank, and I'm going to start us off. Cynthia, who wrote into us and said that her birthday and spring are just around the corner, so it must be time to give her one-time donation to her favorite ex-Mormons.
Oh.
So she has generously donated to us, and I am going to say that it's harder to calculate with the one-time donations, but I am going to say that Cynthia, you are now a priest. We're going to give you that priesthood, that level of priesthood. You're a priest.
Wow.
So congratulations, and thanks to you, Cynthia. We appreciate it. And Frank, do we have some other people to thank?
We do indeed, Dan. We have 4 new patrons on Patreon.
Beautiful.
We've got 2 new teachers. We have Hypatia Fan and Jacqueline.
Okay.
So thank you to the both of you.
Wonderful.
And then we have a new elder by the name of Eloise.
Ooh, Eloise.
Thank you, Eloise.
Getting that Melchizedek priesthood up in here.
And Dan, we have to say thank you first to Demonium for all of the support that Demonium has given us.
And continues to give us.
But there's a new Lord and Savior.
Oh, shit. There's a new Lord and Savior in town, bitches.
Or perhaps a Lord and Savior has returned.
Oh.
It is the second coming.
It's the second coming. What?
Of Austin.
Damn, Austin. Nice.
So thank you so much. If you'd like to join any of these fine folk, you can do so going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and clicking on the support tab. And then you get to choose how you do it. You can do PayPal, you can do Patreon. It's up to you. Thanks so much, everyone. There's more show coming up. Dan.
Well, yes. Hello.
Sainthood. Saints. We know something about being a saint. We were saints. All Mormons are saints.
All Mormons are saints.
Come ye saints.
It is literally in the title of the religion, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yes. And
we are all beatified. We are canonized the minute we pop out of our moms.
Oy, oy, oy. We need to lean more into that with the Mormons.
Yeah.
You know, call him Saint. Saint Bob. How are you doing today?
Yeah. As opposed, instead of Sister Johansson, it's just Saint. Hey, Saint Helen. How are you?
Mount Saint.
Yes. Oh, yeah. There's that.
Yeah.
So, but unlike Catholicism or you know, many of the other Christian sects, we never had a concept of sainthood that was about dead people in heaven interceding in our lives. You know what I mean?
No.
And so I have always been a little bit mystified by the concept of sainthood. It feels to me deeply incongruous with the theology of Christianity. I'm not used to it. It just feels wrong. I've been thinking about it because, you know, one of the stories that I opted out of doing this week was about some guys who were murdered by death squads in El Salvador back in the late 70s, early 80s. And you know, they're sort of they've taken steps toward making them saints. They're beatified now, and that's you know, one step towards all they have to do is be canonized, and then they'll be saints, Catholic saints.
What are you when you're beatified? Do you have a title?
I don't know. I think you're just fancy.
You're So
Father, I don't know.
So,
but I guess I wanted to ask you, Frank, because the idea, I guess, is that, you know, God's real busy up there in heaven. And he doesn't have time for every single prayer.
So he has a call
send
center.
Some of them to a saint here and there. Yeah. You know, send a prayer to St. Patrick or to Saint whatever. We're recording on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. I got into it on Facebook a little bit because I made the claim that Patrick is not actually a saint because he was never canonized.
What?
He wasn't, because they didn't do that way back then. And I also, you know, I looked into it some, not, you know, I didn't do the deepest of deep dives, but I did do some research about it. I did a segment on St. Patrick's Day for How to Heretic, or on St. Patrick himself. And the thing about St. Patrick is that, you know, they didn't do canonization back then when he was around. That wasn't a thing that the church did. And then when they started doing it, nobody went back and canonized him, which they did for some other people. There were a few that were alive but back before that time that they went and officially canonized. So, but boy, I claim he's not a saint, and a few of my Catholic friends or acquaintances came out and were no, he is a saint because he was a saint by popularity, and I guess at some point it is kind of a popularity contest.
Of course it is.
And so he is considered a saint. And when you read the church's own, like the Catholic Church's definition of saint and like what is and isn't a saint, it's pretty squishy. It is hard to nail them down on that. It's definitely easy to figure out what qualifies for sainthood now. Like there is a set system of rules, and there's a number of miracles that have to be attributed, and those miracles have to be vetted by people from the Vatican, and then there is a distinct and written out process. But you go back far enough, and it's just like a lot of people liked that guy. A lot of people liked him.
Yeah.
So we're just he's a saint. That guy's a saint. We'll just call it that.
What did he do? What did St. Patrick do?
He was a missionary. The whole thing about him driving the snakes out of Ireland?
Yes. Is that real?
No, there were no snakes in Ireland.
No.
But a lot of people theorize.
Dan, like that had to happen somehow. Right?
They just didn't get there.
That's
or maybe
ridiculous.
They all moved out. Maybe all the snakes were like, fuck this place.
Okay. So there's this,
but a lot of people theorize that the snakes reference is actually a dickhead reference to pagans. He drove the pagans out of Ireland.
Oh, and then it took on a life of its own. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway,
right.
Yeah, I mean, his big thing was he was just a missionary, and he convinced a lot of Irish people to join the church.
And if there's something in particular that you need from the big man upstairs, what do you go to St. Patrick for? Do you know?
He's the patron saint of Ireland. So yeah, I guess if Ireland needs something, if your Ireland has broken down.
But I mean, like in Rome, there's like, I can't remember which saint it is, but there's like the patron saint of the automobile, right?
Yeah.
And there's like a specific church that he's sort of, I think it's his church. And on such and such, on his day, you can go drive by the church, and there's a Catholic priest out there, who can like bless your car as it goes by.
Bless your car,
or maybe you pull up real quick and he's just sprinkles a little water. And
did they throw in a wash and wax as well? I feel like they should.
No, that's probably just going to leave water spots. But yeah, no, I kind of like this idea of like some intercessionary call center in the sky, right? That like it's easier to get through, there might be a high call volume, but you'll get through, right?
Yeah.
And
Saint Gertrude's gonna hear you.
Yeah.
God, he's got too many voices.
There's too much going on, and he's got other stuff to do. He can't just be tending to prayers all the time.
No.
That's what these guys do.
No, but if you want your fireworks show to go well, you're gonna pray to Saint Barbara. That's who you pray to.
Is that for real?
Yeah, she's the patron saint of fireworks. I just looked up a few weird ones.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're ugly, you go to Saint Drogo.
No.
That's just who you go to.
Oh my God.
The patron saint of unattractive people.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's no wonder I've never heard of him.
Yeah. We obviously don't need him.
I have no idea who this man is.
Oh my gosh. It's just such a weird concept. Like you can't set up your guy to be omnipotent, to be all powerful and all loving, and then also say, but also maybe he's not listening.
He's a little strapped for time. That's the issue.
Don't bug him. Go to the go to the receptionist first. See if Sam in accounting can help you.
Exactly. And if it
go to the CEO.
needs to escalate, it can escalate. but let's keep the idiot stuff off his desk,
Yeah, exactly.
like don't bother him. He's busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
It's just I don't know. It obviously provides deep comfort to some people. I recently got back from Mexico. That's where I went on our both of our separate vacations. I went to Mexico. And as we were, I stayed in a very small fishing village.
Yeah.
That you could
lovely.
only access.
Your description of it was absolutely thrilling, like just amazing.
Our patrons get to hear all about it. So if you want to know more, give us your money and you can hear all about it. That's patrons only content right there. But one of the things that happened was that as we were riding, as we were taking the boat ride to this little village, along the coastline, there are these rocks that have I don't know if it was Maria. I had little Santos, little, maybe 1.5 foot tall sculptures, just sort of attached to the rocks, looking over the ocean. I don't know what they're for. I don't know what any of it's for. It's just so weird to me. Why are they doing work? There's a dude who has this job. Why are any of these other people having to do the work?
I'm sensing a strike coming.
They should go on strike.
Need to go on strike. They need to do some collective action and just and
theoretically
have
these
some
are
demands, guys. Right?
These are all the best people
God.
Earth had to offer.
Yeah.
They worked hard. They did their time here on Earth.
Yeah.
Let them have their paradise. They should be sipping margaritas.
They've got all of eternity for
chilling.
that. They've got all of eternity for that. They can give us a little bit of time right now.
Okay.
That's,
there you
what
go.
I'm going to say. But no, they need to get some really good demands. God, he's omnipotent.
That's right.
He can give you a break every once in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe an extra week of vacation.
Yeah, exactly. You need to take my workload for at least a week and a half. I'm going to Barbados.
Get some more saints up here.
I mean, the liturgical calendar is fucking full. They got plenty of saints.
No, but the workload, Dan.
They're running out of people, like feast days. Everybody's sharing feast days.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that I think I said St. Gertrude earlier, and I think the reason I said that is because I read that she also has a feast day on March 17th.
So, poor St. Gertrude.
She gets no love. It's all Patrick all the time.
What was she the patron saint for?
I think it's cats.
Cats. Well, all right.
So what happens to all the cats in Ireland?
They're ignored.
They are just totally ignored.
They're left to their own devices.
No love at all.
Nobody's there to help them.
Oh.
They have to appeal directly to God.
It is so sad.
Yeah. All right.
It is so sad. All right. Well, if you, listener at home, can offer any insights as to what the fuck a saint is and why the fuck a saint is, I'd love to hear it. Write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call, leave us a voicemail message, and tell us about it. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah. Hey, go to the Facebook page, will you? Facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only. And we've got a couple options there for you.
Yeah. Listen, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of y'all for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.